Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there, feeling well, having a great start to your Thursday, and appreciate you folks joining me this morning as we try to figure out what's going to happen weather-wise for today. It's definitely a complex forecast, especially for you folks in the Carolinas and areas of Southeast Virginia, where a tornado threat certainly could materialize later this afternoon. We're going to break down detail what could potentially happen. With that, we'll compare some model guidance, see what they are saying, how they are different than one another, and try to figure that one out. There's some severe weather expected for portions of the north central U.S. today. We'll talk about that also. We'll break down the entire lower 48, as we always do. Luckily, last night's severe weather threat it had the potential for a high-end tornado event, but luckily it did not materialize. Remember, I talked about in yesterday evening's video how it had a high ceiling scenario to it, but it also had a low floor scenario to it, meaning that it could have really materialized into a tornado outbreak last night. But it also had a chance to materialize into just storms. And that's exactly what happened. I woke up this morning, didn't really hear much of anything. I went to bed very early last night, about 7:45, 8 o'clock. I know some of y'all are laughing like, what? But it's been an exhausting start to the week. With school starting, we've had to make some routine shifts. And you guys know that can always be very tiring. And the adjusting to it can be kind of rough. So just went to bed really early, and I was hoping I was going to wake up to some good news, and we certainly did. Nothing really materialized as far as the tornado threat last night, so that's good news. But I might be wrong. If you folks, if there was some confirmed tornadoes, let me know. But as far as what I saw, I didn't see how really anything materialized as far as the tornado threat. So with that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. You ever consider joining the channel? The join tab's here. The join tab. It's very hard to find on your phones. I've had a couple people reach out to me over the last year saying, Mitch, I cannot find it. And it is. You cannot find it on the YouTube app on your phone. You actually have to go into the browser on like just your internet browser on your phone and like go into YouTube that way. It's very irritating. It's very easy to find like on a personal computer, a desktop computer, but of course, always, if you're interested, let me know and I'll try to walk your way through it. But thank you for considering. Thank you for all the people who are members to my channel. I'm trying to get to 40 by the end of August. So a couple more weeks left. So thank y'all. Thank y'all for the amazing support. It really means the world. If you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over as always, please put those in the comments below. Gives me an opportunity to pray over it and gives others an opportunity to do so too. We got my little kitten chilling with me. I don't know if y'all can see him in the background. That is our newest cat we've had for a few months. His name is Rocket from the raccoon off Guardians of the Galaxy, if you're a big Marvel fan. But he is just the most loving little thing there is. So he's just chilling in the background this video. Let's get rolling. Water vapor loop. I don't have the cursor pulled up, guys, but what's going on? You see this area in white as where a bunch of shower and storm activity is continuing to chug along. And with it, you got a surface low associated with it that's going to chug up the eastern U.S. Coastline and eventually make its way back out into the North Atlantic. This is going to create a kinematic environment. When I say kinematic, just think of a favorable wind pattern for damaging winds and a tornado threat for areas of eastern North Carolina, southeast Virginia. This is going to scoot on through and definitely have an area, a pretty broad area of enhanced low-level flow into this region. There will be definitely a ripping low-level jet that flies through this region today. Up here, you got a piece of upper energy surging down with a surface cold front that's going to ignite some strong to severe storms in areas of the south-central U.S. And then we're even going to get some storms that's going to trail off into the areas of the northeast and southern New England, which does have a low-end tornado threat. Ridge continues to be affecting areas of Texas, Louisiana, where you guys just continue to have just an awful summer heat-wise. We take a look at what's going on radar, and we'll take a look at the south, the southeast, and this is what's going on. This is kind of what we expected. A lot of shower and storm activity. Nothing severe as of now, but you got a line of storms moving through the Atlanta area, trailing south into central Alabama, areas of Mississippi, even a streamer of heavy rain setting up in Memphis that you're waking up to. But this is crossing the southern Alps region of Tennessee and North Carolina, bringing a lot of heavy rain, probably some gusty winds. But the idea is this going to really start to weaken as it gets a little bit further east in the Carolinas and Virginia. If it does, that I would say that increases the severe weather threat. If this continues to maintain strength, it's moving pretty slow. I really think that this could re-strengthen as it gets into this region, but almost all model guidance shows this really weakening, and then eventually some more storm action developing in the eastern Carolinas, especially North Carolina, really mainly speaking on North Carolina, but you cannot rule it out in South Carolina too. The severe ingredients are there today in the Carolinas and even Virginia, but especially the Carolinas. It's just the fact, are you going to get anything going with all this morning convection meaning shower and storms? Yeah, so you're waking up to a very rainy start for the southern tier of New York State, especially southwest New York State. Western PA is certainly soaking this morning. This is moving eastward and will continue to do so and affect other areas of the New England region. So that's what's happening right now. Storm Prediction Center. All right, you got a slight risk right up here, Sioux Falls, down to Omaha, all the way up to, Aberdeen, South Dakota. And we got a severe weather risk here. We're definitely getting some powerful storms in this region today. Who knows? This might upgrade to an enhanced risk. If it does, I wouldn't be surprised one bit. Just always remember, I always say this, that a lot of times the Storm Prediction Center on their later updates after I drop this video will upgrade things. And sometimes you'll get a slight risk that's more broad. You'll get another one that's introduced. You get a slight risk that's bumped up to an enhanced risk risk that's bumped up to a moderate risk. It happens a lot. And it always kind of irritates me because it's like, dang, it's like I'm giving my audience old information, but hopefully you guys understand that by now. I can't control that with the timing, but there is a slight risk up here, a slight risk down here. This does include areas like Columbia, Charlotte, certainly up the Raleigh, Virginia Beach, Norfolk area. Okay, but I could see Columbia, where I live. If you don't know, that's where I live, Columbia in South Carolina, actually in Lexington, or just outside of Columbia. I could see us not getting any storms today. I could see us getting some morning rain, but there's definitely a solid possibility no storms develop this afternoon. I'll talk about that and the reason why. I already kind of explained why the morning convection really could affect things and really stabilize the atmosphere. But a slight risk here in areas of the Carolinas, Southeast Virginia. Tornado threat, 2% risk in this area, but there is a 5% risk of a tornado in eastern North Carolina, guys, within 25 miles of any given location. Like I said, once you get to that 5% range, that's something you really, really need to take a lot more serious. Okay, luckily the 10% hatch risk did not materialize last night, but there was always some big time uncertainty with that, and that definitely kicked in as we did not really get a tornado threat. But a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location, basically from like almost all the way to Greenville, North Carolina. This includes the Elizabeth City area, areas of the Outer Banks. What is that? Edenton? Was that Williamston? The Washington region, all the way up to just basically that Highway 17 corridor east of I-95. Okay, there's a 2% risk of a tornado also in Rhode Island, Southeast Mass, where we got a nasty tornado a couple days ago. There's also a risk here too today. 15% risk of winds exceeding 50 knots or higher, 55 to 60 miles per hour in both of these yellow areas today. And there is a hail threat. There's a 15% risk in the yellow area of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger in these two areas. We look at the flash flooding risk. This did not increase. In fact, it decreased. But we do have two areas. One to watch out right now where there's a lot of rain falling across areas of the south. There's a slight risk here, a slight risk up here also in areas of southern New England, southeast Mass, and then Rhode Island. That means there's a 15% risk of excessive rainfall being exceeded. So definitely watch out for some flash flooding today. Advisories, warnings, things like that. We got a lot of dense fog advisories up for areas of Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa. And then we got just your usual summertime excessive heat warnings. That's really just been the common theme the entire summer. But it's getting very dry in Texas. We'll actually take a look at the drought monitor in this video, which we don't do often. It's getting very dry. I've had a lot of comments talk about that. You guys are just, and I know you're wondering, when is it going to cool down? And guys, I don't see any significant cool down anytime soon. Okay, the ridge is just flexing enough into this region where it's very hot and humid. Okay, but when things can slow down within severe weather world, I can take some time to really talk about the pattern going forward, and I will do that in the next couple of days, I promise you guys. But severe weather is going to dominate the topic in the weather world for the foreseeable future, as there's multiple risks coming up throughout all the way into mid-August, which we're pretty much into the mid-August time frame now. But very hot in Florida, excessive heat warnings, especially eastern and southern Florida. Heat advisories up for the rest, excessive heat watches that could be upgraded to warnings, we'll see. And we got flood watches up for areas that's experiencing a lot of rain, and flood watches up for Boston, Rhode Island, Southeast Mass, Central Mass, where a lot of rain is expected today, potentially for sure. So let's talk about what could happen today. So a complex forecast, folks, for the Carolinas. We'll watch all this rain that we just showed you early in the video. This will continue to work its way. And then what we'll watch for is, yeah, we could get some storms here in northern Mississippi, extreme eastern areas, basically the Mississippi Delta region. We can get some storms. But these are the storms to really watch out for today in northeast North Carolina, eastern North Carolina, and even southeast Virginia. Then we got just standard pop-up kind of shower activity in Florida. I'm hearing western Florida is starting to get pretty dry. You guys have not gotten a lot of rain. It's just the flow out there is not favorable for you guys to get a lot of rain on the east coast of Florida. Hopefully that changes soon. But that is the general theme today. Now we zone into each individual region. We're dealing with storms this morning in areas of this region that you're seeing. This will clear out. We'll probably still be dealing with some lingering downpours, probably from a leftover boundary here in northern Alabama, northern Mississippi. Around the Memphis area could get more strong to severe storms today. That's why you got a marginal risk that extends all the way into this region. We could certainly see some more storm action, but nothing compared to what we saw last night. And even yesterday, well, we had some powerful storms in Alabama. We keep this rolling here, and we get into the late evening, overnight time frame, and I think some more storms will try to get going here and somewhere in Alabama, Mississippi, just after midnight. And I think that it could potentially be a stormy late night, early wee hours of the morning for your Friday morning in Alabama, maybe even northern Georgia, the southern areas of the Cumberland Plateau. And we could definitely be waking up to some storms in and around the Atlanta area and points north as we're waking up tomorrow morning. It's definitely possible. We move our way to the Carolinas. This will be a big topic in this video. This rain, as you can tell, this is actually what's falling right at this moment. We already showed you this, but I'll show it to you again. This is what's falling right now, okay? So the HRRR model is doing decent. The idea is that this is going to weaken quickly over the next several hours. Look, we get into 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon. This cluster of rain begins to weaken, but you got to watch as basically the atmosphere becomes prime south of this shield of rain. So the atmosphere becomes unstable from basically the PD of South Carolina all the way up through eastern North Carolina. And we're going to have a threat of severe weather into this region, okay? And none of this rain has really made it into this region, and we're starting to get to the prime heating of the day. At this time around lunchtime, it's starting to heat up, get extremely hot out there, very humid. We could definitely get some storms that fire up in eastern areas of West Virginia, drift through the mountainous regions and the foothills of Virginia. Okay, but here we go. Bang. A big-time storm develops here. We got a little bit of a surface low up here north of this area of storms. Got something in my eye or something going on right here. Sorry about that. But about 3 p.m., we got some powerful storms beginning to fire up here. These storms could produce a tornado. Hell, they could produce damaging winds, but there is an elevated risk of a tornado. We got to watch for some supercells that develop in this little area right here in southeast Virginia, northeast, and eastern areas of North Carolina. I really think you're going to get a couple tornado warnings up here near Elizabeth City, up the Chesapeake, up the Norfolk area. Just basically that kind of Highway 17 corridor. I definitely think you guys could see some rotating thunderstorms up here, okay? But it'll be quick, like they might develop around early afternoon, run throughout mid-afternoon, and by the time you're getting into late afternoon, they're making their way out into the ocean. You can't rule it out in southern areas of Maryland too, okay? Just this little corridor that I think has the highest risk of a tornado today, especially for the eastern U.S. This heads off into the North Atlantic. I think if you're vacationing in the Outer Banks, please be careful, especially the northern Outer Banks and central areas of the Outer Banks. It could get kind of rough later this evening with some powerful storms. But, you make your way further into the, the night. And, if you notice in this run, nothing really happens in South Carolina, okay? This run of the HRRR model shows stronger storms a little bit further south. This would make more sense, okay? This is the long range, shows more powerful storms further south into the Greenville area, almost all the way to the New Bern area of North Carolina, okay? This would bring a potent area of storms right through mid to late afternoon, okay? But you look at South Carolina, nothing really happens until overnight tonight, and you're waking up to some storms tomorrow morning. Now, you look at the NAM. What does the NAM show? I think the NAM might be on to something as far as the southern extent of the storms, okay? The NAM brings all this shower and storm activity. This is saying what it's going to look like in about an hour, which I can already tell you. I don't know if that's going to verify. This would need to make some big-time forward speed over the next hour for all this shower and storm activity to be into this region, but it could. It could, but you keep this going here. It shows an area of storms near the Myrtle Beach area, points north, and I'm telling you, the ingredients support severe weather in this little corner of southeast North Carolina, and then the PD kind of northeast, I would say, eastern sections of Myrtle Beach, kind of the Myrtle Beach area. It's always hard to call a section of South Carolina northeast South Carolina just because, yeah, it's just kind of a weird proportion state. But anyways, you cannot rule out an isolated tornado threat with these clusters of storms if the NAM is correct. Remember, the HRRR model don't show any storm activity down here, guys. So it's a big question, and it really doesn't do much for this area of eastern North Carolina, southeast Virginia. The NAM doesn't. The NAM actually pumps out a strong to severe storm in and around the Augusta area, okay, and brings some storms through eastern areas of South Carolina. So the NAM says no to the HRRR model as far as storms developing in this region. But I'm telling you, I'm going to favor the HRRR model with these storms right in here, but I'm also going to favor the NAM over the HRRR model with storms down here. So I'm favoring more of a stormy scenario just in general for eastern North Carolina, but could be wrong, guys. That's just the beauty of weather. You know, you never, it's the weather. It's going to do what it's going to do. All we're here to do is just, give guidance. But, you get to 6 p.m. and you got some more storms developing here in southeast North Carolina, even some storms kind of around the Chesapeake Bay area. And they could produce some tornadoes, I'm telling you. And then we just got it's around 7 p.m. Got some more storms firing up. So the NAM and the HRRR model totally different with timing and who sees storms. So it's a tough one, guys. But what I can tell you out the HRRR model, if it is correct, it really likes this area of eastern North Carolina. You see these highlighted colors. That's where the HRRR model is saying that there's a chance for a rotating updraft. Not a very strong signal for one, unless you get around the Elizabeth City area, but you back it up and you look at the 06Z run, it's a little bit further south and more of a strong signal. So this is why there's that 5% risk in this area. Okay, it warns it, it makes sense, and definitely watch out for some tornado warnings to be issued. If you get under a tornado warning anywhere, obviously take it serious, but I really think that with what you're about to see here, you're definitely going to have a chance. There's a lot of wind energy that's going to fly over the Carolinas today. In fact, it's going to be one of those days where you look up in the sky and you could see the clouds moving pretty quick just above your head, it seems like. So low-level jet kind of ripping through areas of the Carolinas and Virginia today. And this is going to create a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere that's going to support damaging winds and a tornado threat with any storms that do develop. It's just, do they? So definitely you got that potent 40, 50 knot low-level jet in areas that's moving over ahead, 35, 45 knots. So winds are going about low, I would say, about highway speed, 55, 60 miles per hour right above our heads today. And this is moving in right now. It's northeast today. We're going to deal with this rain that continues to take over most of the I-95 corridor. I think we could get a lot of storm activity around the Delmarva region, Washington, D.C., eastern areas of PA, even New Jersey. It might be more in the form of just showers and downpours, but some of these could be in the form of thunderstorms. And I would certainly watch out if you're around Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, really anywhere, guys. I mean, you could certainly see a lot of storm activity in the mid-Atlantic regions, the I-95 corridor day. More so just showers up here, kind of in New York maybe. But you guys could see some storms. Some storms are possible, very isolated, scattered about in New York State. You continue to get this going. And the models are really everywhere on what develops in southern New England. But any storms that can get going and southern New England will have a very small risk for a tornado. But you got storms. I mean, this is around early evening. You got storms up here in northern Maine, some showers and downpours up here in Vermont and New Hampshire. It looks like a pretty intense little line of storms potentially working its way into northern New York State. It's a tough one. And you got this one strong storm showing up just off the eastern tip of Long Island, potentially moving into, the Rhode Island region into southeast Mass. And, you got to watch out a little bit later tonight. There could be some powerful storms right in this region right here of southern New England. So it's hard to say that the severe weather threat will completely be over after the sun goes down. But here's a closer look. It's a tough one today. It really is. But look at this one storm. This is around 11 p.m. I'd watch out, maybe Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island. You might have a few storms later tonight in this region that could produce a spin up. The timing's weird. It's a tough forecast up here today, but definitely take the weather serious as far as how much rain could fall up here where you do have that risk of flash flooding. I mean, guys, we could certainly, all right, is this going to get in motion for me? I guess not. We could definitely get a risk of flash flooding into this region today where widespread, 1-inch rainfall totals are possible in this area today. But as you can tell, it's very scattered about. I just told you it's a difficult forecast to try to figure out where all the storms will happen today. But a good little bit of rain is possible today, even up into Maine. Maine, you guys could get a good bit of rain today. Over an inch of rain is possible in certain areas of Maine. Certain areas, maybe just a half an inch. So updraft Felicity swath. Listen, I mean, the signal isn't strong today for a tornado, but look at that little small colored region right into here, just indicating that I would watch out for maybe some storms later tonight. Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, southeast Mass. Okay, just later tonight, something could get going for sure. South central U.S., I've already mentioned the Delta region. Everybody else, if you're lucky, you can get an isolated downpour storm out here in kind of west central Texas. Definitely some rain in southwest areas of New Mexico. Outside of that, guys, maybe a rogue strong to severe storm is possible in northern Arkansas. It's definitely possible. So definitely times 2 there. But you make your way throughout the rest of the night. You could be waking up to a cluster of showers and storms in central Arkansas. Outside of that, guys, it looks pretty hot and dry. And speaking of the hot weather, I want to let you guys know this was released 1 week from today. So this is 1 week old. All right. So chances are this is even worse. I would say the D4 region, which is in that burgundy color, is probably more spread out. It's more broad now. And then you got the extreme drought and just the red. It's getting very dry. I've heard the Houston area is getting very, very dry. I think the only thing that saved you is maybe from a lot of rain that you got earlier in the summer. I believe you got a good bit of rain earlier in the summer, but it's starting to get very dry in Houston. You're in portions of the Houston area under a severe drought. But the drought is becoming an issue in Texas. Okay, it really is. And really, well, as hot as it is, I mean, if it hasn't been so hot, it probably wouldn't escalate so fast. But it's been so hot in Texas that this has become a problem a lot faster. So I really hope we can break this pattern down for you folks. But today, it's no different than any other day. Somebody will probably try to hit 110 degrees in Texas today. We'll get into the low 100s into the Dallas-Fort Worth, Shreveport regions again. Just continues just to be awfully hot. I feel bad for you guys. I really do. It's just been brutal. Louisiana has been brutal. Southern and southwest areas of Mississippi have been brutal. Louisiana, I think New Orleans is on track for one of their hottest summers on record. They've hit over 100 degrees many days this summer. It's unbearable out here. I guess you guys maybe have gotten used to it. I don't know if you can get used to it. But the heat index today, just awful. Well over 110 degrees, 115 in the areas of the bayou. It's just hot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry on behalf of the weather. I hope that the summer can get its back broken soon. We're getting into mid-August. When I get into mid-August, I really start to look for that first cold front. And I'm actually going to probably make a post about that later on because I am seeing some troughing setting up that could begin to break the back of summer as we get a little bit closer to September. Up here in the north central U.S., some showers will fly through in North Dakota, waking up to a pretty chilly morning in areas of kind of like northern Minnesota, where areas are waking up, I believe, to like the 40s. But we'll watch as a piece of energy flies through, and we're going to get some powerful storms in eastern areas of the Dakotas, and then western areas of Minnesota. These could make their way across Minnesota throughout the night, and then eventually make their way into areas of Wisconsin, western Wisconsin, and then the UP of Michigan, especially the western half of the UP of Michigan, where you guys could certainly wake up to a rainy morning for your Friday morning. A little bit zooming in on this, I think these storms could really pack a punch today. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised they dropped an enhanced risk up here. But south of Fargo, all the way to Sioux Falls, the Brookings region, trying to mention some areas. What is that, Millbank? You guys, basically along that Interstate 29 corridor, these will probably cross and then make their way into Minnesota. If you live in this area of Minnesota, I'm trying to mention some cities, guys. I'm running out of gas here. I hate when that happens because I feel like I leave some of you guys hanging when I get deeper into the video. Just talk. I don't know if you ever talk for 30 minutes, 40 minutes straight, but man, it zaps a lot of energy out of you. I have to like decompress on the way home from work. On the way to work. But I think some really strong to severe storms could make their way into this section of Minnesota today. And I think they could develop into a pretty nasty line. I mean, this is around 10, 11 o'clock tonight. And you got some big storms basically affecting the Alexandria area, the Fergus Falls region. There's a lot of small towns and communities out here. As far as Minneapolis being impacted, I think you could get some storms into the wee hours of the morning tonight. But these storms that develop in eastern and southeast, I would say North Dakota, northeast, South Dakota, I think they could produce large hail. A tornado risk is definitely going to be likely. And I think the large hail is certainly something you need to be concerned about. But it'll fly through. Nothing totally unusual for this time of the year, especially in August where the jet is a little bit further north. But definitely be weather aware up here in this region today. The updraft Felicity swath definitely symbolizing that we're going to have some rotating storms here in those regions I just mentioned, where there's some highlighted colors into here. So you're definitely going to have a tornado risk into this region where there's enough of a kinematic flow in the atmosphere to support some spin. Western U.S., you could get some showers possible in central California, southern areas of Nevada, southern areas of Utah. I think we could get some storm action in northern sections of Arizona, and definitely western to southwestern areas of New Mexico. Storm action is possible. And I don't want to ignore you folks also in this region in western Nebraska. Kind of skip right over you guys in southwest areas of South Dakota. I think you guys could get some strong to severe storms in this region, but not much of a severe weather threat with these. But yeah, that's all I got. Let's talk about the temperatures. Temperatures will get well into the upper 90s, low 100s. It'll get even very hot ahead of this system that flies through potentially into the Carolinas. But these temperatures could bust low today just because you got morning showers and storms. The Ohio Valley, just 80s, Northeast, 60s, 70s, and 80s, just depending on elevation. The Midwest, 80s, some low 90s, nothing totally crazy. Cooler day up here in northern Minnesota. I mean, you got some fall temperatures beginning to creep in. A nice day into the UP of Michigan. We're getting closer, guys. Just hang on. We're getting closer to fall. I'm sorry for you summer weather fans, but I'm ready for it to be over. I'm ready for fall. But talking about the western U.S., typical kind of summer type conditions, nothing extreme one way or the other as far as above to below average temperatures. Just stay tuned to your local folks with temperatures out here with all the microclimates with elevation-driven regions. But I'm telling you, unfortunately, I'm going to tell you right at the I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am sick and tired of talking about severe weather. It's old. I'm sure people who keep getting affected by it are tired of it. I feel like I've been doing YouTube since 2020. Right in the beginning of 2020, I started my YouTube channel, and this summer has by far been the most active summer as far as severe weather. Not even close. It just seems like there's something to talk about every single day. And I'm just ready to talk about cold fronts. I'm ready to talk about even the tropics. I'm not pulling for a hurricane to hit the US. You guys know that. But I'm ready to just talk about something different. Cold weather, ready to talk about some winter weather. But of course, just because I'm ready to stop talking about severe weather, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop, because I want to keep you guys aware. But I mean, I don't think anybody can disagree that it would be nice to move on to a different weather thing to speak on. But we'll talk about it here really quick. The severe weather threat continues into tomorrow. A pretty large slight risk for areas of the upper Midwest, North Central region, and the Great Lakes risk. We'll talk about that. We'll go into day 3, which is for our Saturday, I believe. Yes. And there is a slight risk for severe weather, so more highly populated areas. I mean, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Columbus, Evansville, Louisville, Lexington, Kentucky. I mean, there is a level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. All right, we move into our Sunday, guys. Already a day 4 slight risk, okay, for our Sunday. So we're already expecting more severe weather across areas of the Midwest for Sunday. And then we go to day 5, expecting severe weather across the southern and central Alps region and points west. Another severe weather event for Monday. It's possible. This will tweak some. Okay, so it just keeps rolling, guys. So we got to keep figuring it out and talking about it. God bless all y'all. If y'all notice any low energy, I'm sorry. This week has been exhausting. I don't know why. It's just been tiring. You know, everybody goes through the little spurts where they're just a little bit more tired than usual. But man, it's been a lot. But I'm good. God is good, and I'm blessed. So thank y'all for everything. God bless all y'all. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.